again, and welcome back to the National Science Week's documentary series From Research to Reality. I'm Jeff Garrett, Queensland Chief Scientist. Tonight we're going inside the Queensland University of Technology's Medical Engineering Research Facility, fondly known as QUT Murph, to see students and doctors receive surgical training. Murph is the first facility to support the full cycle of research and training activities for new surgical devices and techniques, particularly to meet Australia's emerging needs in orthopaedics, relating to bones, joints, ligaments or muscles, and artificial organs. Obtaining bodies for all this vital research and training is, of course, a sensitive issue in Australia. Members of the public must voluntarily donate their bodies, and participation rates are currently static in the range of 2 to 3%. We meet one couple that has joined the body donation program and hear their reasons for participating.
You've heard about organ donation and maybe you're a registered organ donor, but have you ever considered body donation? Why would someone choose to leave their body to science, and how would you broach the subject with your loved ones? The following reenactment might be typical.
I've been thinking about donating my body to science.
Pardon?
Well, I've just been worried that if I get really sick and I can't donate my organs, and you know I really want to do that, the next best thing would be to donate my body to science.
Jan, I know you haven't been feeling too well lately, but we're both organ donors and I don't see the point in body donation.
But Fred, if my organs are no good, I won't be able to help anyone. I really need you to help me because I need your consent on paperwork. Think about our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, how it will help them.
Jan, you know, I'd do anything to help our grandchildren and great-grandchildren for that matter, but you've sprung this on me all of a sudden. I really need some time to think about this.
Medical schools have used cadavers to train students for centuries. Bodies of executed criminals were initially used because Christians believed that souls of dissected bodies could not go to heaven, and therefore few voluntarily offered their bodies to science. As the number of criminals being executed decreased, it then became commonplace to steal bodies from graves in order to keep the market supplied. But by the 20th century, body snatching had all but disappeared as embalming and preservation of cadavers became more advanced, and students no longer had to quickly dissect bodies before they decomposed. Cadaver is the term for a body used in medical training or research, and there is an ongoing demand for cadavers. National Science Week explores the impact that voluntary body donation makes in medical science and in particular to surgical training. Murph, the Medical Engineering Research Facility at QUT in Brisbane, is a state-of-the-art surgical training facility that is training surgeons using bodies donated by members of the public. Opened in 2008, Murph is the first facility to support the full cycle of research, validation, commercialisation and training activities that are necessary to ensure widespread adoption of new medical devices, such as hips, knees and other replacement body parts, and new surgical techniques throughout Queensland and all around the world. Professor Ross Crawford, orthopaedic surgeon and head of orthopaedic research at Murph, explains why such a facility was required.
It came about approximately 3 or 4 years ago. We were able to get around $5 million from the state government through a Smart State initiative, and that money plus QUT's money and industry money from Stryker and Medtronic, who are orthopaedic and implant companies, was used to build the building that's known as Murph. It's been operational for around 18 months to 2 years, and it's tended to transform slightly from where we were going to go originally, particularly around the use of cadavers for surgical skill training. And what was initially going to be a place where we did a lot of engineering, Murph has morphed into more of a surgical skills training facility where we teach young surgeons surgical techniques, where we teach pre-graduate nurses, podiatrists, radiographers basic anatomy, and where we can practice procedures that might be slightly more complex than usual.
How are Murph and QUT linked?
Okay, I guess QUT Murph Centre is a fusion of QUT's Medical Engineering Research Facility and the Prince Charles Hospital Medical Research Unit as well. So they brought the two units together, or the two groups together, and what we do is we I guess we bring surgeons and medical engineering companies into close contact with QT and the medical engineering fraternity. And out of this we hope we get some synergy and some rapport and future developments and improvements in medical sciences. So it's a great symbiotic relationship that we have.
National Science Week was lucky to observe a workshop at the Murph facility in Brisbane. Medical students, registrars and experienced surgeons participated in this hip replacement training session on cadavers, many travelling from interstate and internationally. So what does the availability of real-life training such as this mean?
I've travelled from Melbourne up to Queensland to be here, and I think a facility like this is invaluable to our learning. You get opportunities to read and to watch other people operate in hospitals, but it's a really good way to actually practice the skills and be taught how to do it in a different setting.
And Professor Ross Crawford is the leading surgeon on hand to teach the participants today.
We're going to set up hip replacements. We're going to teach them how to safely access the hip without damaging the important nerves and arteries around the hip. We're going to show them how to do the technique properly, because very much the development of surgical skills and good technique is determinant of how well how well they succeed in the patient. So this is a great opportunity for juniors to really get their hands dirty in almost a perfectly simulated environment to theatre. So we've got 6 tables running. We're going to run another group of junior doctors through. So we're going to have about 40 or 50 junior doctors exposed to aspects of total joint replacement, which for many of them is a unique opportunity. The group we have in the room now are quite senior. Most of them have done surgery, but the next group to come through are junior doctors who've never had an opportunity to do this before, and I think for them this will be a really exciting experience. Tim's now exposed the hip and he's going to be cementing the stem in. There's different philosophies on how you fix an implant, and cementing is a technique that really needs to be learnt, and again you can practice in the lab, you can practice in many certain environments, but really the ultimate environment is to practice in the operating theatre. So Tim, you've done a lot of surgery probably, and you're at the end of your training. Have you had much chance to get exposed to cadaver courses over the time?
Well, fortunately about 3 or 4 in my training. I think it'd be more ideal if we had more. They are a good place to practice, especially surgery you're not familiar with, and it's a good way to see the anatomy that sometimes you don't want to see when you operate.
People will travel great distances to come to a facility like this. It's not many places in the world that you have the opportunities that a facility such as this gives you. And alternatively, you're practicing on synthetic bones which are quite unrealistic and don't give you anywhere near the same experience and the same value.